God, religion, and sanity. What about, don't you think God created people with healthy bodies, most of them? Most of them. There's a few exceptions. Did he create people with a healthy mind so that people weren't born nuts? Maybe a few might. Okay? Now this isn't unhealthy or derogatory, but it's true that the people who are gay, the homosexuals, were born that way. So God created them that way. So there's something in their brain that God created for them to be homosexuals. So for a church, any church, to condemn these people claiming that the Bible, and they think that the Bible was written by God or something like that. In their minds, there's a big connection between God and the Bible. But there's no connection at all, because the Bible is crazy and contradictory, and God is definitely neither crazy nor contradictory. So he's not creating defective people. So that if there's 25, 30% gays, whatever the number is, if there's X amount of blacks and X amount of whites, I mean, this is what God created, right? Did he make a mistake? Well, let's examine that. Americans, and in particular white Americans, claim to be exceptional. The government says it, the media says it, and it's said over and over again that Americans are exceptional. And if you question it, then they kind of castigate you as being unpatriotic. Like, well, we're just better than everybody. Americans are just better than everybody, right? That's what they say. Now, in America, I don't know about any other place, because I live in America, in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Don't you think if people are acting completely nuts, you could tell? For instance, the lady that drove her car into a lake with her kids to drown them, who is now in a mental institution. You know, that's pretty obvious, isn't it? I mean, do you need a psychiatrist or psychologist to make that diagnosis that she's nuts? No. Anybody could see that. If you can't see that, then there's really something wrong with you, big time. Now, why in the world do white Americans, and I'm talking white Americans here, who are absolutely arrogant because they say they're exceptional? They're not talking about black Americans. How could they possibly say that after Michael Brown was gunned down in the middle of the street, and all the white Americans want this cop, the white cop, to be protected for just murdering this black kid just because he's black? What would happen if he was white? Would they take that same stand? I don't know. But anyway, that's crazy, because he just murdered this innocent person. And even if he needed to be on a sidewalk, okay, then arrest him. Period. That's how you proceed. You don't just, oh, you don't want to be on the sidewalk, I'll shoot you down with 6 shots, and he'll run 20 feet away. Oh yeah, he's a threat. He's running the other way. He's 20 feet away, he turns around, and he goes down, and the cop fires 2 more rounds in his head as he goes down. So, how could there be any question about it? Because there isn't. But now, oh, they're investigating. Since August 9th, they've been investigating it. So now, are the white people crazy? Of course they are. Absolutely, they're nuts. Okay? To want to murder this kid and then protect the murderer. It's no different than the lynch mobs. Okay, with the lynch mobs, okay. And then all these other people gathered around and put their stamp of approval on it. Nobody stopped it. Now let's get to the Sandusky case. These are all white people, by the way. Sandusky's raping this kid in the shower, and this coach, McQueary, is just watching it. He doesn't even try to stop this rape. What kind of a crazy, weird person doesn't try to stop Sandusky from raping this kid in the shower. I mean, Jesus. And none of these white people ever say a peep about it. Oh. And then he goes off to tell Paterno, and Paterno covers it up, right? But, oh, he won all these football games, so he covered it up. He's our man at Penn State, right? And then Paterno told the athletic director. The athletic director told the president. The campus police know about it, right? And they covered it up for many years. What about the priests? All these priests that are raping kids, they're homosexuals. They say it's a big sin to be homosexuals, but they can rape children, molest children, and then get protected by the cardinals and the Pope. What kind of a church is that? But they stay right there, the Catholics, right? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know how much more nuts you can possibly get and not notice it. But there isn't one psychologist that notices any of this, okay? Because they're in a deep trance themselves. And believe me, I've been searching psychologists to find one. Wow. Yeah, for instance, here's the biggest one going. The biggest one going is that all white Americans want to cover up George Bush for ordering the 9/11 attack. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to see the evidence. They get angry. And that's how, that's it. Whatever they want, that's it, right? The evidence doesn't matter. They don't care. They're nuts. White Americans are nuts. They're racist. They're ignorant. They're arrogant. They're selfish. They're nasty people. But then they're hypocrites, so they sprinkle a few crumbs around and they try to make it seem that they're really nice. I mean, and they just keep on behaving like they normally do. Like this, for instance. A receiver on the Chiefs caught a touchdown pass, and he went down to pray to Allah and got a penalty, a 15-yard penalty. But do they penalize the Christians that cross themselves, thank God, when they get a touchdown? No. The Christians can do it because they're hypocrites. The Muslims can't do it. Now, is Islam God's religion? Is Christianity God's religion? Are the Jews God's religion? By the way, what about the 5 books of Moses? Think about this. Now here's this 40-year deal, right? After they exit their slavery in Egypt, before they get to the promised land that Moses can't go to, right? Is he in some office in the desert writing the 5 books of Moses? I mean, how do these books come about? The 5 books of Moses. I mean, God. You see, nothing matters. Proof, evidence, nothing matters. So, when you talk about 9/11, and you show people pictures, because the whole thing was filmed. I mean, an entire crime is filmed. Don't you want to look at the pictures? To see what happened? To see the actual evidence? Because what you're going to see are thousands of beams from the World Trade Center towers that flew all over the place. Now, don't beams just drop? Of course they do. Unless they have a power that will fling them, that will shoot them hundreds of feet away and land all over the place in all directions. There has to be a power. They don't just decide, well, let's see, I'll go this way, and this beam will decide I'll go that way, and this beam will decide I'll go this way. I mean, come on. How obvious can you get? I could go down a long list, and I will, of evidence. But right now I won't, because I don't want to take too long here on this YouTube. This is my little TV set that I want people to watch and spread this around, because people need to wake up. Okay, we got to get rid of this government that's involved in 9/11, starting the wars with the drones, everything. I mean, it's really as crazy as you could possibly imagine. And there isn't a shrink that can even notice it. I mean, what did they study, for God's sakes, when they got their PhDs? I mean, it's amazing on how these people can't even function. They just come up with crazy claims with no basis and ignore absolute facts. I mean, why would you want to protect somebody that's a scumbag like George Bush, who would actually mass murder 3,000 people because he wanted to start 2 wars? And I'm going to tell you why, too. And it's not because of the oil, because they didn't take a drop of oil. Okay? That was never the issue. The issue was never the lie that they said, oh yeah, there's the WMD in Iraq, yeah. And on and on. And Iraq had something to do with 9/11. Whereas that had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. So, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And nobody wants to know what the hell is really happening here. They want to cover it up. They want to cover Sandusky up. They want to cover Paterno up. Cover everything up. Cover Bush up. Cover racism up. They're just outright racist screwballs. Okay? And they lie about everything. Ask the Indians how many treaties that the white government broke. All of them. Every one. Good old Marlon Brando, baby. I wish you were still on the planet. Good night. And God bless Marlon Brando.